I am a believer that wherever people are in their understanding of homosexuality and sin, that the way of Jesus is to treat people with love. And that's not in a nebulous feeling, but that's exactly what the book of 1 Corinthians talks about. Like, we get a definition of love. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It keeps no record of wrong. Like, there's this thing that we're taught on actually how to love people. And so whether you think it's a sin or not, Christians are called to love people just as they are.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Season 2 of the Liberal Gun Owners Lens podcast. I am Miyanovich, and I will be your pilot on an unprecedented ride through the most innovative and forward-thinking analysis of the relationship between humans and guns on planet Earth. The entire nexus between guns and public safety needs a wake-up call, and Liberal Gun Owners is here to rock that party. Are you somebody who thinks you know what's going on with guns and public safety? I don't give a shit. I'm dragging your ass into the future whether you like it or not.
The second reason why we're here today is because after the shooting in Tennessee, and of course the name of the school is leaving my brain, but it was the shooting where it was a transgender person who did the shooting. There was the dust up afterwards, and John Correa from Active Self-Protection put up a tweet, which I thought was important. It was important to my mind because it wasn't why don't you people stop being homophobes and get over it, right? That he wasn't saying that. He was talking to other Christians, and he wasn't saying stop being a homophobe. What he was saying in the tweet was, if you have this hard position that gayness is a sin, and you can't at least transition over to, I believe, of course, I'm not saying Randy, but can you transition over to, I believe that gayness is a sin, but can you at least treat those people with compassion and care about them? Because this is what it comes down to. That kind of sentiment can get inside of somebody and lead to things like this shooting. So at least, can't you at least just consider making that adjustment, which is the kind of chess I love. Right? Because we want all these big moves, those of us that think that homophobia and bigotry is the worst. We just want to be like, get over it. Just stop doing it. But that's not how human cognition and belief work. So this is a very interesting chess move. So I'm interested to hear from you, your thoughts on all of it. Like, get over it, people. And also, if you're a person of faith, can't you just switch a little bit? What do you think about these concepts?
Yeah, so there is a bishop in my denomination, a woman who happens to be lesbian, and I heard her speaking the other day, and she was talking to seminarians, and she said to them, if you come into the church and you come in here with the attitude of like, I'm just going to change these people's thoughts immediately, and I'm just going to, impose my will on being allies and being affirming. She said, I don't want you all in my district. I don't want you in my synod, because I don't want to get phone calls from those angry parishioners who aren't on board yet. And then she said, which stuck with me, we can't think in terms of months and years, but decades and centuries.
Interesting.
And And this is from a lesbian bishop, right? Like, she is saying that this fight is decades and centuries long for the changing of the world. And that really resonated with me. And so I came into a congregation that had a lot of gay children, like of older members. So these are adult children. But we weren't an open and affirming congregation. And in fact, the church had this big meeting when I first started here and the question was, well, is Pastor Jeremy going to marry gay people here? And that we even had that discussion showed me that the congregation wasn't affirming at that point. And so I knew that it was going to take years for us to become an affirming place. And it took me 7 years because this last June or the beginning of this month, we did our first Pride Parade where we just went out there and told people that God loves them just as they are, the LGBTQ community.
Very cool.
But it takes years. This stuff takes a long time. And I am a believer that wherever people are in their understanding of homosexuality and sin, that the way of Jesus is to treat people with love. And that's not in a nebulous feeling, but that's exactly what the book of 1 Corinthians talks about. Like, we get a definition of love. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It keeps no record of wrong. Like, there's this thing that we're taught on actually how to love people. And so whether you think it's a sin or not, Christians are called to love people just as they are.
Yeah. And how does it go from that to what it is in the minds of some people? Today, Hillel, Nori, and I talked about fundamentalism and how oftentimes that's a major contributor. I guess my question would be, based on your knowledge, where does it start from? Like, at what point is Christianity like the gayness is a sin and persecute that and shame it? Where do you have any notion of where that might have started historically?
I don't know where it started historically. I think that there has been the reading of the Bible. There's like 6 Bible verses that mention same-sex actions. The Bible itself has no concept of what we would term an orientation, right? They don't know what like the orientation of being gay or lesbian is. They just have no concept of that. They just have actions that it talks about.
Right.
And I think that we're missing fundamentalists who read those very literally and then transpose that to today are missing a lot of cultural markers that had to do with what those people were doing and what the Bible is actually against.
Hillel said earlier today, he was like, if you look at important things stated in the New Testament, because he has a pretty decent knowledge of it, if you looked at gayness, it would be so far down the list. Like, there are so many other things that are massively important for Christians. It's like 100 down on the list or further. So yeah, I mean, just rhetorically, how does it get prioritized so high?
I went, so before I was Lutheran of this variety, I was evangelical and I went to a mega church.
Yeah.
And there's a sense of us and them that they foster. There's us, the good Christians, and then there's them, the liberal gays. And with that, and what eventually began my deconstruction is they told us lies about the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
And this may be a little too theological for this, but
that's fine.
I was told in the evangelical world that LGBTQ folk have a bad theology, their understanding of how we're saved, like atonement, their understanding of the Trinity, their understanding of Jesus as Messiah is skewed. And all of that is because they're gay. And then I got to seminary and I met a trans person who had more orthodox theology than I did. And I was, and so my head, I just kept having this like cognitive dissonance. Like, well, I was like, wait, you can't believe that you're trans. Like, you can't believe that. And then gay people, you can't believe that. You know, there's no way that you have a really good soteriology, that's exactly like mine. And so that began my deconstruction of learning the lies that I was told, in the evangelical world.
Yeah. Hillel said something really impactful. He was like, look, if we're tracing the world of humans attacking gay people worldwide, then you're likely going to land on the number one group of people are religious people, period.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something like, and that sucks. As a religious person, that really sucks. But it isn't all religious people. It's often a certain brand of fundamentalist type, absolutist mentality and skewing of the theology. And that's why I wanted to do this series, was because we have concern at Liberal Gun Owners for gun-related injury and death in 8 different categories. And one of those categories is xenophobic attacks against the marginalized. And one of the subgroups of that is gay people. And so if we're going to master the understanding of that, who is the number one group of people who attack gay people historically over, I don't know, can we say thousands of years maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. So
it's the religious. And so we can understand a couple of things from that. One, that's the reality. The other is, two, we can also understand why there's so much hatred towards religion from certain kinds of people, because this is what we see. You know, we're tribal beings and mythological beings. Like, we are not mythological. We're like into myths and stories, and we're only going to do like, hey, these people are full of shit. These people are not. That's kind of how our brains work. So is it a wonder? Is it a wonder why this is happening? My thing is, how do we make it better? And you know, you brought it up just a couple of minutes ago. Just like all other things, this seems to be more of a marathon than a sprint, like one person at a time.
I think that's the only way it happens. And when I encounter people who are evangelical fundamentalists in their understanding of LGBTQ folk and being Christian, I often encourage them to seek out LGBTQ folk and become friends with them.
Yeah.
And really learn, because I think part of it is that's how I was changed, is by relationship.
Right.
And I think that's a necessary part, is just having people in your sphere of influence and friendship who are a part of that community.
Yeah. How is it going up at where your brother is? Do they have does he have the same? Maybe I shouldn't ask this question. I can edit this out if the answer is not great. But how is it going for them? Like on this front?
His church is much better. Their last several pastors were gay in his church, okay. So they didn't really have that kind of history there.
Well, I mean, these are very serious issues, and I don't know if you really keep a thumb on the pulse of what's going on with guns in the gay community, but it's only growing.
It is.
It's only growing. And so one of our concerns is to make sure that responsibility is coming along with all of this new gun ownership, because it's rightful. I mean, Hillel said today, like, part of it's like, well, it's about time. It's about time they feel this way, because this is thousands of years of getting killed and stoned and shit on. So why wouldn't, like, To me, it's a normal human reaction. The only issue is it being done correctly? Because from a couple perspectives, one is we have this very online reality going on. Gay, straight, doesn't matter, white, black. People are getting sucked into the matrix. And there's all this lore and about how to deal with reality, and like owning a gun is enough. Just owning it. I just want everybody to take training seriously and responsibility seriously, because that's the kind of gun ownership that we need. And I think largely, or we have a lot of that responsibility on both sides of the aisle. But in terms of this thing, I'm glad that I'm having this conversation with you, because you're a pastor and you know that being armed sometimes matters. Yeah. And that's not paranoid. You're a compassionate person. You live compassion. You get people in a rear naked choke, and you live compassionately. It's important. It's okay to have both. Yeah. And also, religious people are the main purveyors of anti-gay aggression.
Indeed, they are. I have a hope, and that is, as there are more LGBTQ folks becoming a part of the gun community, that there's more connection made with traditional kind of gun owners, and they're able to not objectify each other anymore, but really see each other's humanity.
Yeah. It might be in the minds of some people that it doesn't happen a lot in the churches or in the Christian community. But, like, we belong to the Y. We're at the YMCA constantly, man, working out. My kids love it. We have a beautiful YMCA. And that place is we do live close to Asheville, North Carolina, so it's a different culture. But that place is so supportive and inclusive of all people. And YMCAs are like that countrywide. I'm not saying every single one is, but they are. They have a really good progressive mindset. So I always take that as like a marker. It's probably, there's reticence, I think, in people of faith, countrywide, but also there's the other thing. There is more and more openness. There is more and more support. It's just that I think the lack of support that's there, the reticence that's there, still contributes, maybe not directly, but indirectly, to having these really shitty mentalities towards gay people that can lead to violence or aggression.
Yeah, in the present, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Great. Well, hey, man, I don't want to hold you too long, because this has been like the key with the podcast is to get the golden nuggets in like the shortest period of time. And I feel like we nailed that pretty well. Is there anything else that you want? Do you want to bring anything else up today, or talk about anything else, or?
Well, I think the one thing is if there are any people who identify themselves as evangelical fundamentalist who happen to be listening to the podcast, is there's a couple of resources that I think can help if you find yourself being led to learn more about what liberal Christians think. One of them is a book called God and the Gay Christian, and that's by Matthew Vine. That's God and the Gay Christian. And the other one is Changing Our Mind, and that's by an evangelical author, David Gushee. And both of those books are really, really good on helping people read scripture in a way that can help them develop their theology into being affirming.